Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classes of Cinematics. And this is the show where we talk about the films that shaped and warped our childhood memories. And to join as always with my co-host, we got Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo.
And I know all of y'all took this past week taking pictures of your kids going back to school and all that, even putting on all this pageantry. Y'all got the kids holding signs. Y'all got the dog involved in the photo ops now. But today we're going back to East Side High. This is crazy. We're going to be talking about Lean On Me from 1989. And this is a crazy big film right here. Let me give you guys a synopsis. In this fact-based film, a New Jersey superintendent, Dr. Frank Napier, watches helplessly as East Side High becomes the lowest-ranked school in the state. With nowhere else to run, Dr. Napier enlists maverick ex-teacher Joe Clark to take over as principal of the declining school. Unfortunately for Clark, before he can focus on improving the student body's state exam scores, he has to somehow rid the school of its gang and narcotics problems. Wow.
What a school.
Yeah, and this is what a cast, man. Let's talk about this before we get into it real quick. So we've got Morgan Freeman, who plays Joe Clark. Robert Guillaume is actually the Dr. Frank Napier who calls in Joe Clark for help. We got Beverly Todd. We got Karina Melina White, Jermaine Hopkins, a.k.a. Steel, Karina Aroyave, John G. Avildsen, Michael Beach, Mr. Darnell. Shout out to Mr. Darnell.
Right.
We get Michael Imperioli in this film for a few minutes. Alan North, Sandra Reeves, Tony Todd, Regina Taylor. But yeah, I mean, that's most of the cast. There's a lot of students running around and stuff, in this film as well. Most of the cast is going to be the student, the staff at the school.
Yes.
You know? So
it's funny, like on this casting. I mean, they're giving the shout outs in the proper areas, but like to put Michael Imperioli on there. I mean, dude, all he was the guy behind Morgan Freeman when he put everybody on the bleachers.
He didn't have no lines.
He didn't have no lines. All he did was had the biggest mullet I've ever seen in my life, and then got kicked out
like a Warriors jacket.
Yeah, he was like, expel us.
I think he gets credited because he's a big actor now, and we remember him.
But you know what? It's funny because during that same scene, I was doing a little bit of research. They said Taye Diggs was in the audience.
Really?
He's wearing a blue shirt. So look out for Taye Diggs wearing the blue shirt.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy, man. So what's one of the things that we like about this film?
I mean, like we're already talking about the cast, and when I think about this film, you cannot talk about this film without talking about Morgan Freeman. He carries this film. He puts it on his back, and then he runs across the world with it. I mean, the way he embodies this character, this Joe Clark, it gives this film a sense of realism. Like at times, you don't know if you're watching a movie or a documentary about this man's life.
It is, yeah, definitely. He does a really great job, but it's also funny to me. Like I'm trying to figure out how old is he is. Like the movie does this thing where when we start the movie, it's 20 years before where the rest of the movie takes place, and it's funny to me because we didn't have the de-aging technology nor the budget. I don't think you would throw on this film like this, or even so he basically gave him an afro. He's rocking a dashiki. The school looks better. It's wild because the school looks like most of the students look white. It looks like 20 years before this neighborhood was mostly white, and maybe
I think it was 1967, right?
It would have been.
It was 1967 when it first started, and
then around then.
And then it.
So I don't know what happened in between there and then, but it starts off too with some conflict between the people that are managing the school in the area, and that's where the conflict starts. But it's funny to me because him and Robert Guillaume are there, and Morgan Freeman's shaved. He still looks 60, 20 years before this movie, before the Joe Clark Mean Joe stuff takes place. He still looks old. Robert Guillaume is actually 10 years older than him, and he's doing the same thing. He's shaved his face. He's got this wig on. And Robert Guillaume is supposedly, who's older than him in real life, actually looks 12 years younger than Morgan Freeman does in this movie.
I'm firmly convinced Morgan Freeman's age is infinity. like he looks the same now as back then. And like he got injected with that Wolverine. Yeah. He's got adamantium bone.
Well, the funny thing about him, he came from a theatrical background, and he didn't really get into films until later in life. But so I'm guessing maybe he started doing movies like at 50. It feels I can't find the first movie role, but maybe 45. But see, he has an old looking face with certain features of his. He just looks old. He can't help it, man. He can't help it.
He can't help it.
IMDb has him listed at 85 years old at present day. You know, and it makes sense. This movie came out in 89. Let's just say it's 90. So we're 30 years later after this movie will be today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so he's in his 50s. But you know, the thing that trips me out about this, right? So we get that opening segment, and like you said, the school looks pleasant, at first, it seems, and I mean, all the kids are engaged, and his teaching tactics were very like informative, and he was like, cool. And then he's on this board, and for very justifiable causes and things, and his mindset was all the way on track. And then we just get this like he's like, you know what? They downsize him, demote him to zone 6, which pretty much they say, well, you know what, you're gonna go be the principal at an elementary school somewhere.
Well, the thing is, I like that scene though, because one thing about the school, it does address the politics involved. So apparently he had a union thing going on, and it's funny because he's doing this thing, and the other teachers, especially Robert Guillaume, they're like, "Bro, we need to eat." Yeah, we're froze out right now. We ain't got a paycheck.
Well, they started having the meeting without them in it. This was something that they created, and they X'd them out of the meeting.
He might have had a bigger part in creating it, but at the same time, I get it, man. Like it's one of those things. I like the way they keep it like black and white like this, because it's like you want the teachers to fight and all that, but not everyone has that luxury, man. Some people got to break the picket line and get to work.
Yeah, I mean, the bills ain't gonna stop coming just because Hey, man, we all go through that. We all go through that in life, but that segment, one thing it does is it just gives us a first class seat onto the mindset and the passion of Morgan Freeman's character as Joe Clark. You know what I'm saying? We see where he's at.
I mean, he does it, like, for him, it's more about the at least the way this movie presents it is more about the ideal than the personal sacrifice.
Yes.
You know, like,
there we go.
Which can be a problem, man.
Yes, because everybody can't do that. Sometimes, sometimes you gotta take your bumps and bruises and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who out here that watches this show or lives in the modern day world goes to work and the sun shines every day?
Ideally, we could bang out 5 or 6 shows a day, but we gotta work. We got shit to do.
You know how much I love to hang out and just do podcasts and just chill and watch movies. You know what I'm saying? And drink these Fosters and stuff. You got me all the way messed up, Jack.
Crazy Joe would be doing that. Everybody can't do that. I definitely like that aspect of it. It makes the thing a little bit more realistic.
It gives it that authentic feel. But then, it's crazy because they start with "Welcome to the Jungle" song. And then you watch the transition from this school go from like I don't know if anyone's seen Class Act, but you know how it's all messed up when Play walks into that like the good kids area, it's all like polished and everything's all good. Well, this was that in reverse. You know what I'm saying? It looks all nice, and next thing you know, there's graffiti everywhere. People are fighting. Some chick gets
that part got me though. Like
jumped, but
all the stuff that happened, I think that one hit me the hardest because I was like, that was horrible.
Horrible.
Like basically, she's in the bathroom doing makeup and gets jumped by like
6
5
chicks run up on her,
and they rip her clothes,
all her whole
push her out in the hallway.
But we don't even know why.
Yeah, but it's just some shit.
It's just some shit. And then immediately following that, it takes us to the cafeteria where they're feeding them food through cages. As if it's like jail. Like it's jail. You know what I'm saying? And then, there's a little rowdiness ensues. And a teacher steps up like, hey, man, y'all need to chill out. Next thing you know, he's getting his head smacked on the floor. And he gets stretchered out.
And then the dude that gets the re-up, let's not talk about that. Like, let's talk about that. He's sitting there and he opens a back door and the dude walks up and
with a
opens
suit and a briefcase
with all his work in there and all kinds of dope. He gives him the money. My man grabs a couple packages, and then you realize the dude with the briefcase closes the briefcase and walks into the building. And I'm like, "This is a teacher."
Teacher, yes. And then we close it out with Steele's getting shoved into a locker. And
put it this way,
he's
man.
just in there. No one will let him out.
We were talking about this before. I have never seen a school this bad in real life. It makes me wonder. This has to be the Hollywood shit, because it's like I even spent a couple minutes before we started doing this looking for images of the real East Side High, and you can find interviews with Joe Clark walking through the halls. It doesn't look this bad. No. It makes me wonder if this was just this shit looks like Nukem High. It looks like
Nukem High. Damn, Toxic Avenger when they're in the high school, oh my gosh, it's like, dude, what?
It makes me feel like this shit was put out as like propaganda to help pass the crime bill.
But the crazy thing about it is it's quoted, like, the movie, once we get past this point, the movie does feel authentic, but Joe Clark was quoted saying that 95% of this film was real. This is his experiences, is what he went through. So I'm thinking that the 5% that might have been fabricated was the first minute and a half.
Yeah, I think I don't think the school looked that bad. I just can't imagine. I definitely heard of people having gangs in schools, but just the physical look of the place is just wow. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't. But it don't make sense. It looked like the school. It looked like the school the Warriors was going to.
Right. Like, I was waiting to see the Furies come out the boys' room. Like, yo, who we got next?
Yeah,
But then the crazy thing about it, one thing that this ultimately turns into a feel good movie. When you once you rake out all the rocks in the sand, because there's quite a few of them. But the one thing that I just kind of like my viewing this time around, because it's been a while since I've seen this. When they set that kind of tone out the gate, what I'm saying. It's not that I wanted to see more school craziness or just wreckage or just all this. Wildness. They set this certain tone, and then it's like almost like the movie just kind of like the fuse goes out, and then it's just
because I mean I can understand it being bad academically, like these kids aren't doing well for whatever reason, and maybe there is some crime. They're probably dealing dope in there. They're smoking weed in the background, but for them to present it in this way in the beginning, like I feel like this is the school that the Final Fight bad guys went to, right? Like to get it's so. I think once you've already established that crazy hyperness, it's crazy to try to maintain that, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I'm like, where's the dude riding dirt bike through the halls?
Because you see, but what it is, like you see as the movie goes on, the kids aren't that bad.
No,
they're just misguided or whatever. Maybe the staff has given up on them.
Lack of opportunities, and I mean, you can tell, the teachers. I mean, it's not that the teachers were giving up on the students, or the students were giving up on themselves. It was that, like you said, it was just the opportunities were different. Home life was different.
Home life.
I mean, and in this area in New Jersey, like there was a very obvious decline in just overall economics as a whole. Definitely. I mean, in the 20-year span.
I mean, think about what is it, 67?
67 to 87. Yeah.
So we're still going through the Reagan era, and that wasn't kind to a lot of people, man. Unless you were in that corporate level, already doing well, the basic working class, they were struggling, man. Things just started to fall apart and collapse in the country. And I think that's why the school ended up how it is. I mean, even if you look at when the movie starts, most of the students are white students, and they look like it actually looks like a private school environment.
It does.
Except they got this wild teacher in a dashiki with Malcolm X on the back and on the walls. And it's wild, but the school looks good. It looks like a good area to live in a good neighborhood. Versus to where it is when Joe comes back to take it over,
and that's the thing too. when even though, like, I mean, I don't know Joe Clark personally. I mean, I've watched the movie. I've looked at the individual, and there is there is a fine line between people that are like, yeah, hey man, this dude was great. This dude not so much.
I'm on the not so much side. All right, I put it this way: you get results, but sometimes I think the way he got the results was a little bit crazy, man. And I think. And you know what's kind of fucked up in hindsight when I think about it, and I think the way that he got a pass was in some ways a little bit of classism and racism, because you allowed him to do these things because you don't think so much of the people that he was doing it to. Exactly. You know, like he couldn't have walked up into some low performing, middle class, mostly majority white.
Suburban school,
started doing this stuff.
White kids, private schools. Yeah. You can't. No, this ain't gonna fly.
No,
the PTA, chew your ass up, bro. So that's the thing. And then like even though his methods were they were so obscure and I mean it was almost like. He even makes it a point to, he calls himself the HNIC. He's like, I'm the HNIC. You know what I'm saying? Which, look, if you don't know what that means, look it up.
Yeah,
look it up. You know what I'm saying? Prodigy album. There we go. That's the hint on that one. But nevertheless, it's like, in a situation where there might have been a lot of bullies or bully, figures, he wanted to be the main bully.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's almost like that fire versus fire method.
You look at how he dealt with the other teachers, man.
Oh, he belittled them.
Darnell and the music teacher, they're like, he treated them. It was horrible the way what he did to them. Music. I think he let Darnell come back. I'm not sure the music woman comes back.
No, she didn't come back.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing? And you know what's one of my favorite parts of this that I do like is the confrontation about midway through with him and Dr. Franklin's character.
Yes.
And Dr. Franklin kind of sets him in line. I love that scene so much.
He puts him back in his place. He's like, man, no.
He's like, you think you the HNIC? He's like, I'm the
HNIC. And then he opens the door and says, now let's go get lunch.
Let's go get something. So I love that too. Yeah, because it's like this is the business side. I gotta do like you're out of control, man.
Yeah.
We brought you here to do this, but you're doing it in a manner that you're pushing the envelope too hard, and I love that exchange. And then it looks like it's like boom, and then Guillaume was like, "Come on, man, let's go get some."
Yeah, now that we got this business taken care of, let's go get some sandwiches.
I think he said something too. He's like, "Yeah, you think you crazy, motherfucker," something like that. You think you tough?
He's like, "You think you tough?" Yeah, and that's the thing. And like you said, to your point, I mean, I don't, obviously the results speak, amongst themselves, but, in most situations, like to bully, the kids in this environment, I understand, setting your boundaries, setting the tone and demanding change. There's ways that you can go about that, but you are belittling your soldiers in front of the people that you are trying to get change from, and the students are seeing this, and it disgusted me. I didn't like that. I was like, man, I'm surprised that these teachers were still willing to fight for him.
But it starts early, the resistance, like even when the scene where we've got the three kids from the cafeteria, including young Steele. I know his name is Sam's in here, but he's
that was after he let him come back into the school after he kicked him out.
But also Darnell is sitting there too, and then the woman in the office who's kind of telling him what's what. She's kind of immediately like, "Yo, you gotta relax, man. You're doing too much." But speaking of that, like his methods are really harsh at times, man. And it takes a lot for him to warm up and for you to see the warmth that's in him. You know what I'm saying? Like speak on like with young Sam.
Oh my gosh, dude! So when he first comes in to set the tone, to establish his presence, he walks in. He says, "I want a list of anyone who dealt drugs or is doing drugs in this school." Boom, holds an assembly. There's 300 kids that he puts on on the altar behind him, almost like it looks like a chorus about to sing a song. And he's like, "Yeah, man, y'all miscreants, riffraff, call them all kinds of messed up niggas. Like, y'all out of the school. Get out. You're all expelled. In one swoop. Not one by one. Not you don't even know these kids' names. You know nothing about them. You just kick them all out. So then the next day, young Steele, he comes back to the school. He's like, look, and he's a freshman too, young kid, and he's like, yo, I need to come back to school. I can't tell my moms I got expelled out of school. And he's like, what? No, you're giving him all this crap. And he's like, all right, you know what? Nate takes him up to the roof, and he's like, yeah. So he's like, yeah, you like do bad in school, like smoke crack. Tell me you like to smoke crack. It's like he's belittling him, and then he tells him, you know what? Go jump off the roof.
You like to smoke crack, don't you?
Yeah, go jump off the roof. He was like, he was like, I don't want to jump off the roof. He was like, well, if you smoke crack, you're jumping off the roof anyway. You're gonna die. You might as well. Just be quick about it. Like, and see, these are the kind of things that,
you know what? That scene is hilarious to me, but it's also really fucked up.
It's
yes. If we're being honest and we're looking at how things would go down if he did that today to someone's kid, that kid's probably got $1 million lawsuit.
Lawsuit.
But again, like I said though, at the time it was excusable because of who was doing it too.
Right. And then and like you said, just because this is a movie entertainment, and I think from the film aspect they wanted to really emphasize his methods, and I get that. But you know what? I was watching this and I said, yo, what if that kid was really, really damaged? And what if he turned around and what if he did jump? Yeah,
what if he didn't let him back in? And he's going back, he's back in the street.
Or what if he jumped off the roof? You know what I'm saying? Mental illness is real too. Yeah. So it's like, hey man, you could be pushing a live wire right over the edge. You know what I'm saying? With that stuff. Yeah. And so like that, I was like, yo, and then once Steele, so they make a deal. He's like, yeah, man, if I get any problems from you, this, that, whatever, you're out. Cool, fine. But then he makes it his personal mission to like keep plucking with the kids.
But also, if you look at how it plays out, though, Steele is still kind of messing up in some ways. I'm like,
change don't happen overnight.
I was like, dog, you had another chance and you're still goofing off. Like when he takes the girl's meatball off the plate, or when he's in the hallway when he should be in class. Man, look out, for these other kids that's in the bathroom doing craziness. It is as wild. But even then, I think that works because we know Steele is still messing up. Like he said, he told him anything else out of you out of here. But he gives Steele several chances after that.
You can tell he took him under his wing and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like I said, ultimately, the end goal, it's progress. It's good. Mm-hmm. It's just like I said, there is a method to his madness, and that's what I think this film really emphasizes. And like I said, when you weed through all of the craziness, mm-hmm. The end of it was good. But I mean, it's like, dude, like to get to that point, like was wild. I mean, my man walks through the school with a bullhorn. He'll that's like me talking to you mm-hmm. with the bullhorn. Yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, who does that?
But the funniest part to me is that the real life Jermaine Hopkins, who plays Samson, didn't learn anything from this movie, because since then it's juicing up. My man's been caught several times with big amounts of weed. So,
yeah. I mean,
it's wild, dude. It's wild, man. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm trying to think of something else before we get out of here, man. I love watching this movie, and it is messed up. It had a lot of accolades when it came out, including I think the Lean On Me song.
It did.
That was was real popular and all that. But in hindsight, I was like, it's good. But it's also, I think it has a lot of stuff going against it. In hindsight, 2020, man. I'm looking at this with newer eyes and I'm more experienced in the world. And it's like, yeah, Joe was probably a necessary evil at the time, for the school. But there was some evil to the methods, in my opinion, man. He would have got away with this in this era because of what life was. But 2022.
No,
you out of here, bro. But then again, I don't think schools are this bad now. Also, so maybe that's the thing.
That's true. I mean, and the one thing that I did take away from this is that once we get into the third phase of this film, you really do see that he does have a passion for his craft, and he really does care about the kids.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a method to his madness. It seems like he took the very aggressive scenic route to get there, and pretty much was willing to blowtorch anyone who got in his way, be it staff or student.
Yeah.
But same time, it shows that that even adults can learn too. Like he was trying to teach the students, teach the staff, but he was learning as well. And ultimately, the end result of this film is gratifying. It is a feel-good film. But when it comes to like school films, like I said, the way it was presented in the beginning, I started, just my old man mind. Like I started thinking about scenes from that movie, The Principal. Like I was waiting for steel to get thrown through the ceiling. I was like, when are the drug dealers coming back there to throw steel through the damn ceiling? But that happens in The Principal.
The Principal is not this. It's not. I think at the core of this, it is trying to tell a feel-good story and an educational story about a real life situation. But The Principal is just some Hollywood.
That's Hollywood propaganda.
Let's put an army veteran in a high school. And
he rides a motorcycle to work. But this one, it is more grounded and it is factually based. This is a real guy, and these were real situations for the most part. And like I said, at the end result, once you see everyone pass the test. And they take them to jail, and all the students rally. They're like, "Nah, man, we want Mr. Clark." So it shows that tough love is better than no love at all. Ultimately, you know what I'm saying? And that's what he provided them with. And at the end of the day, it worked.
It worked out.
He gave them someone to lean on.
I wonder what East Side is looking like now, though.
Who knows?
I think that's it, folks, man. We're going to wrap this up, man. This has been Lean On Me from 1989. It was a weird, wild year in the culture in general, man. But definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. And watch it again.
Yeah, man. Everybody needs someone to lean on.
So, it's been catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us at Classes of Cinematics on Instagram.
It's Bobby Blockbuster. Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on Instagram at Bobby Blockbuster 118.
Yeah. All right, folks. We out here.